Hello, hello. Happy Winning Wednesday. I'm so excited to be with y'all today. And oh my gosh, what a great time we had last week. So many of you all shared with your friends and tagged your people. And we had so many great comments and just love that we are spreading the word. And of course, today is all about which team are you going to be on? Are you going to be on the team evidence or are you going to be on the team excuses? Now, obviously, we know that y'all are going to be on the team evidence. That's why you are on here today. So let me make sure that I am where I need to be and that we are going live. If you will, type in your name and where you're zooming in from. And I did also want to thank y'all. I had posted just a fun kind of a story that I had shared about the day that I joined the military 43 years ago. And many of you all looked at that and kind of commented and just so appreciate that. And I think about, what are you going through today that it's going to be your story that you're going to be able to tell. I was just working with a new consultant and I have to brag on her, Sonia Sutton. Just hold on. You need some pom-poms here. Let me get out my pom-poms, from the pom-pom drawer. So here is this. She went to do her very first appointment and she couldn't see anybody on Zoom and she just kept going. And I said, oh my gosh, these are the stories that always sound the best. How many of y'all know that, right? It is the craziest things that happen that always seem to be the funniest. I know my first appointment, I've shared that with y'all before. They wanted to break up the skincare line. And back in the day, we just didn't do that. And I'm a rule follower. And I remember they just kept on and on and on and wanting to break this. And so I dropped an F-bomb because I had no training and I didn't have my Jesus filter in place and packed up all my stuff. And I thought my director would be so proud of me. And she was so wise. She's like, I told her what I did. She said, oh, how did that work out for you? And I said, well, nobody bought that basic. Nobody split that up. She said, would you get any sales? I'm like, nope. Did you get any bookings? I'm like, I didn't want to book with those. Y'all know where I went with that. And she said, she was so smart. She said to me, Diana, Monday night, we are starting a book club and it's called, and would you teach the first chapter? And I'm like, sure. And it was Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, looking back on that, it was pretty painful to go through, but now, 37 years later, it is so funny. And I wonder how many of y'all are going through something right now that is painful, whether it's spiritually or physically or emotionally, or you're working for a goal that, that all you can see is excuses versus evidence, and you have to choose the victory. And I want to thank my friend Whitney Blomberg for that term that she shared with us many years ago to CTV, choose the victory. Y'all type that in, choose the victory, choose the victory, choose the victory. Today is the day. It's Winning Wednesday. Are you going to choose team evidence, right? Choose the victory, or are you going to live in excuses? And then you never even get the microphone, so you never get the stage. So you will have gone through all this pain and angst and frustration and all that, and it does you no good, and it does nobody else any good. Because do you realize that whenever you choose to be a part of team evidence, that everything you're going through is truly divinely inspired, so that there is going to be a woman or a group of women that are going to come up in your life that you're going to be able to say, sister, I feel you. I remember what it was like to go through something like that. And take my hand. I promise you there is light on the other side. I am the evidence that you will survive this and that you will thrive through this and that you're going to be better through this, right? That you're able to throw out, just that life raft. Maybe we all need to get little lifesavers and put them everywhere, because that's what our story is designed to be. Everything that you're experiencing right now, in our pink bubble, we're in June, and June is big. June is our Super Bowl. It is our World Series. It is our Olympics all rolled into one. And we've got about 18 days left. So we are hyper focused. And that's why I wanted to do this today, was so that you all would CTV, choose the victory, regardless of what the evidence says, that you're going to choose to be the evidence on the other side of this. So just want to thank you all for hanging out. Let's see who is on here with us today. Let's see who all we've got. We're excited. Let's see. We have got Nancy. Hi, Lori. How are you? Shelly, choose the victory. And Lisa, we're excited that you're on here. And so what I wanted to talk to y'all about was it's really the difference in quit or grit, right? So type that in, quit or grit. quit or grit. And we live in a world right now that loves a quitter story, don't they? Oh my gosh, like they're giving awards for people who quit. Now, I'm not saying that there are not times in your life that you need to take a mental break. I'm not saying that. And I think that those of us who know ourselves, we know when we need to do a little bit of a sabbatical. So I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is whenever you are in the middle of the race, that you made a promise to yourself, you made a promise to your friends, your family, your team, your mentor. You made a promise that you were going to cross the finish line. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about, right? That you are either going to be the evidence as you figure it out and choosing the victory, sometimes in every conversation, sometimes in every day, or you are going to, and that's going to be driven by grit, right? That's that grit. You just find a way. You may not know the whole answer, but you just keep putting one foot in front of another. Like one of the greatest compliments somebody can say to me is, Diana, you just got great grit. And I love that because I don't ever want to live in a culture of quit. I don't want to be known for what I quit. Now, I'm going to quit bad relationships. I'm going to quit bad Voxer groups. I'm going to quit bad music. I'm going to quit bad TV. I'm going to quit those things, but I'm not going to quit on my calling. I'm not going to quit on those around me. I'm not going to quit on myself. Now I may go slower. It may take me longer than I thought that it would take me. How many of y'all agree with that? I mean, I think everything is like that. But what I want you all to realize is that every day when you're getting up, we talked about that you're choosing from the 3 doors, right? The land of the lazy. Okay, that's your excuses. The maze of mediocrity, you could go through that door. That's where the masses are. That's still excuses. Or you're going to step into the land of excellence. That's evidence. That's choosing to find a way. What if the way that you figure out, say in our pink bubble to book coach team build, what if you find that and there's somebody watching you? Because the thing that we forget is that there's people watching us all the time that we don't know about. I hear this all the time. People will send me a private message. I'll get a comment. I've been watching you for years, or I almost gave up, but I saw that you pushed through. Like, how many dreams are attached to yours? And sometimes that is whenever I tie a knot and hold on. That's why I don't quit. That's why I don't retire. That's why I don't do that, because I know that at the end of my life, I'm going to feel responsibility to those choices and to those people that I will never know who are watching. And what that does is it gives you just that little bit of grit, right? That I can be brave for somebody else. Now, I may not be able to be brave for me. I may not be able to pray for blessings for me, but I can surely pray to be a leader of excellence. I can surely pray to be brave. I can surely pray for an anointing of courage. I most definitely can pray for God to give me creativity. I definitely can pray for me to be a light for people to see the Lord. I can definitely pray for the microphone to be able to give God the glory. So to pray for more money to go buy more things, I personally can't do that. I mean, maybe you can, but I can't. But I most definitely can pray for those character qualities that creates that team evidence, right? Because if I'm called to be the evidence of a life that is committed to Christ, a life that is committed to my calling, right? That is committed to a community, that's committed to a culture, then I need to pray for the tools that are going to get there. And there's a couple things that I talked about in my message the other day, where I talked about, because it was June 9th. And I'll just kind of start out and then I'll jump over here, but it says June 9th is what I put, 1981. 43 years ago, I was 17 years old. And 2 weeks after high school graduation, I boarded a bus to Lakeland Air Force Base basic training, right? So if you are some of my Air Force, some of my veterans out there, go ahead and I do a big shout out there. Probably should have thought that out more, had not been in Texas in July and August, but survived that crazy running, hollering, lack of sleep. Loved my military my whole life. Daddy retired. Donna, my sister, served. It's not just what we did, it was who we were. And I was honored to carry on the tradition. So that's the post that I'm talking about. And so one of the things that people ask me all the time is, where did you get the grit? And I believe that part of it is because I grew up in the military, so I did have to meet people. So maybe you don't have that dynamic, but are you putting yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable? Now, we've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's volunteering or getting into different groups or going to a different service at church or, something where you have to walk into a room that you don't know anyone and that you need to be able to refine your skills to be able to find common ground. That's a huge part. The other part is that I was involved in sports. Now, the funny part about that is I have no athletic ability. I am not the person you pick. Now, I didn't like girls and I didn't like cheerleaders. So there's no way I was doing cheerleading, but I kept stats for the football team. So I walked around with the clipboard back in the day and I marked down all the tackles and all that, but I was on the team with the football team. And so it was just one of those things where I wanted to be able to be a part of a team, the winning, the being a part of that. Maybe you didn't do that, but how could you be part of a team now? Again, looking at volunteer, where could you volunteer? Maybe there's a pickleball. Maybe there's a some sort of tennis. Maybe there's something that you could go be a part of. I believe that grit, right? I believe that being a part of team evidence is that you got to win and lose. You got to get where it doesn't bother you to lose because you're going to lose more. I love Derek Jeter. I have to tell you, I could be his #1 fan. I love everything about him. We were watching him last night on the Knuckleheads. Now, those two basketball players, they're pretty funny. They're pretty right with their words, but they were talking to Derek Jeter, and I know that Joe Buck on probably one of my favorite shows is called Undeniable, and he interviewed him as well. But one of the things that Derek Jeter talked about, and he mentioned it again last night, do you realize in baseball that whenever you step up to the plate, that even with 70% of the time missing the ball, you're going to end up in the Hall of Fame, right? If you're only hitting 3 out of 10 times, you're going to the Hall of Fame. So you have to get used to losing. You have to get used to that it doesn't define you, but that it lights a fire for you to get better. I know in our business, right, I'm going to talk to probably 5 people before one is going to get started. Out of every 10 people that get started, I'm probably only going to have a couple people that this is their season. Doesn't mean that it won't come around later. Doesn't mean that they're not just coming in for personal use. I'm grateful whatever people want to do. But I also know that I'm going to get a whole lot more no's than I am yeses. And so you've got to learn how to be able to have that kind of that where that just goes off of your back, that they're not saying no to you. I invite a lot of people to church and they say no. I just think about what if you were at a restaurant and the waiter came up and said, would you like some dessert? And you're like, oh, no, no, I'm on a diet. Can you imagine? I'm going, well, that's it. I quit. I just quit. I'm done. I'm done with all these no's. None of you women want any dessert. That's it. I've had it. It just makes me feel bad. Now, that's about the dumbest thing ever, right? I mean, can you even imagine that? But I wonder how many of us, because we get a series of 10 no's because they don't want to try your product or go to your church or be a part of your nonprofit or to play pickleball or to whatever it is that you want to do, that all of a sudden, then it's all about that they're saying no to you. They're not thinking about you at all. They're only thinking about themselves. Mary Kay Ash always said that. They're like, half the people think you got it coming and the other half aren't even thinking about you. So whenever you're ready to grow and step into your calling, when you're ready to be part of team evidence, when you're ready to get the grit, right, is born in friction, right? You don't get grit without friction. Friction is no's. Friction is changing your mind. Friction is people that don't do what they say. Friction is that. Just make sure that's not you. Okay, do y'all follow where I'm going with that? So to be part of team evidence, you got to find places to be a part of a team so you can learn how to win and how to lose. The other thing was the military. What I loved about the military is it taught me how to find common ground. I praise the Lord, was raised military, so I always was around, whenever I was younger, around people, different colors, different religions, different beliefs, but I was raised in a very small town. and very isolated. And even though I was only there for like 8 years, what I found was that my mind closed when I stepped back into the military. I just truly am fascinated with people, and so I'm fascinated with other religions. If I can find somebody that believes different than me, I'm like, oh my gosh, can we go out to coffee? I would love to hear what you believe, why you believe that, and not that I do want to share with them about Jesus, right? I definitely want to share with them about Jesus. What I want to do though is find common ground. And I'm always amazed when we were in Beijing, like whenever we went and saw the biggest Buddha temple, right? Whenever we were there, there was a lot of common ground. So that there were things that we could talk about. There was beliefs that there was common grounds. Now, I personally, this is me personally, I believe the only way to heaven is through Jesus, right? I do believe that, but you may not believe that. But it doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean I don't like you. Doesn't mean that I'm going to push you away. Doesn't mean that I want bad things for you. Do you follow what I'm saying? Like there was a time for some of y'all that are younger, believe it or not, there was a time in America that you could disagree on political parties and religion, and you didn't have to hate them. Right. And what we want to do as Sparkle Sisters is be okay with people thinking differently. I believe that part of being part of Team Evidence is that you learn how to go and find common ground. When we were in Turkey, we went to the Blue Mosque, and so we got to find out about that. I remember sitting on an airplane one time next to a gal, and she was Muslim, and I'm just like, can I ask you some questions? I'm just very curious. And so just to be able to ask her, and then she asked me about our faith, and we like exchanged like this. She loved this little ring I had, and that I just gotten from Mary Kay, and I'm like, here, you take this, and then she's like, here, you take this. And so I don't know what came of that, but it was so nice that we were both able to get off the plane and go, wow, I really like her as a woman, right? She doesn't have to believe like me for me to find something good about her. Do y'all kind of see what I'm doing? And so in other words, to build grit, right? Friction, that what you'd have to choose to do, I believe, as one of our Sparkle Sisters, is that you go find common ground. The same thing, different economic. Of course, I've been broke as a joke, and and praise the Lord, and blessed now financially. But some of my friends are like Uber, even more. I personally probably am more comfortable down here than I am up here, but they're all the same. And again, being able to pick their brains. I never went to college. I took one college course. Never went to college, but some of my best friends have got double PhDs. I pick their brains about that, and I have a lot of friends who have their GED, or maybe not even that. But what do you have in common, right? If you wake up one day and everybody looks like you and worships like you and has the same education, my goodness, what a boring life, right? This world is just filled with all kinds of people that can teach you things, right? So I was having a conversation with one of my best friends. We've been together, gosh, we've known each other 35 years. And there's this one particular topic that we do not agree on at all, not even a little, and we're like, whoa, we're going to put that on the shelf. Kind of like politics. Well, we're not going to talk about that because we are opposite on that. And we're like, okay, this is not good. Okay, let's put that away. And then we both at the same time immediately went to, okay, but this is what we have in common. Like when you find that hot topic, like, okay, you know what? We are both fiery on that. Let's put that away. Okay. And then let's talk about this. So again, think how full your life would be if that was different people. What about from different countries? What about from different languages? Y'all think about this. Y'all, if you're bored in your life, it's because you want to be. If you're not making a difference, because everybody's like you. Your blessings are on the other side of grit. Your blessings are on the other side of learning how to find common ground. And then, of course, the last thing that I feel that has created my dream life is you all, my Sparkle Sisters, my Mary Kay friends, my 37 years in the business. It was hard. Y'all know my story. I didn't like women. I didn't wear makeup. I didn't wash my face. I mean, I washed my face with shampoo. I don't really like to be told what to do. I didn't know anything about being an entrepreneur. I definitely didn't want to sell something, like all of that. And it was almost like, and here's a thought, and this is how I'm going to close up today. And again, depending on where you're coming from your religious beliefs. So you'll have to kind of use the wording that you can accept this. But what I believe with my whole heart, and I believe that is happening in your life, that for you to step through door number 3, right? To avoid the land of the lazy, to avoid the maze of mediocrity, to walk through the door of excellence, to choose to be part of team evidence. In other words, your life is the evidence that it can be done. A life of priorities, a life of successful, being debt-free, all of those things, all the things that are important to you, okay? Versus team excuses. Wham, wham, poor, poor, pitiful me, okay? I believe that there is a force out there that is pushing you away from your dream life. And that I bet your dream life is packaged in a way that you probably never thought about. And it's almost like the whole deck is stacked against you. Because here's what I found out, that all of those things that I said about me and that others said about me, I don't play well with women, you know, we're only military people, you know, all of those things. I grew up in a very, very judgy denomination. So there was a lot of that went on there. And so all of that was a lie. And I could have chosen to keep remembering that and wearing that label. But because I chose to do an erase and replace and to be brave enough to try something bizarre because there was this call to it, isn't it funny that my mission in life, my group is women? And yet, before I was 23 years old, I did everything I could to avoid it because I was not one of those people. So my question to you is, what is it that you're saying that you're not? But there's still something about it that draws you to it, okay? That we just work for a secure income, right? You get a secure job and then you do that until you retire. I have to tell you all the funniest thing. I had a little health thing last week. And so I was sleeping during the day and all is well. But it was so funny. I woke up and Tom said, "How are you? Are you doing okay?" And I said, "Oh my God, I had the worst nightmare." And he said, "What?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, I dreamed that I got a job, like a job, and I had to drive to Nashville every day. And it was horrible." And my heart was pounding. I was sweating, like literally, like it was horrible. And I was trying to figure out, well, how can I work from 8 to 5? Because I got Zooms, right? Because, you know, and I'm like that. And then they wanted me to do this bulletin board. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do the best bulletin board there is. And they're like, no, you just have to kind of do it. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that, you know, but it was so funny. But like, literally, it was like I was steeped into that. And it was so funny because I think the part of that is that's how I was raised. That's how I thought I was supposed to be. But I am an entrepreneur, like to this the last cell in my body, to be able to do that. So again, what is this thing that you keep saying and other people keep saying that you are that is not true? Because you gotta get on the other side of that. To remain the same is an excuse. So I want you to think about that. I remember the first time I stood up as a new consultant. I remembered we had a daughter, but I couldn't remember her name. And now, I mean, praise the Lord, I've had the opportunity to speak in front of groups of over 10,000. I've done Zooms with the entire Mary Kay world, hundreds of thousands of people. And it's just as easy for me to do that as it is to go have a cup of coffee. Now, prep time is long, takes me a long time to prep and practice. But to do it is very simple. But what if I had bought into, I don't do public speaking? Then we wouldn't be on here today. I wouldn't be able to speak into you. You wouldn't be able to speak into me. So this is how I want to end today. Are you choosing to be on team evidence? So I want to kind of see what y'all are saying here. So really quick, if y'all want to kind of put some things on there, it's always kind of crazy on my phone to kind of look at that. But on your team evidence, what is something that you need to develop some grit? Do you need to be on a team? Do you need to position yourself to get more no's? Do you need to think a new thought? Do you need to meet some new people? What do you need to do so you can get comfortable being uncomfortable? What is something that you know deep down you're supposed to do, but there is no evidence of it? Many of you all, and again, in our pink bubble, are going after goals, and on paper, there's no way it's going to happen. Are you writing out your winter story, what it's going to feel like on June or on July 1st? And then you just go out there and you just keep doing one other thing. Talk to one other person that intimidates you on your chicken list. Do one other thing that is uncomfortable. Become addicted to the sense of achievement. Become addicted to being uncomfortable. Become addicted to becoming who you're supposed to be and getting off of team evidence and into team evidence so that you can reach back and bring another generation forward. Y'all, I'm so excited for this week. Have a miracle-filled week, because together we are too blessed to be stressed, too anointed to be disappointed, too equipped to be whipped. Have a miracle-filled day. Bye-bye, y'all.